I'm Bobby Savoie, AARP Louisiana State President. I'm also the Volunteer Fraud Watch Network Lead for the Louisiana State Office. Today, I'm joined by Brad Hassert, Compliance Director for the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors. Brad, thank you so much for joining us today. And to get started, I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about the Licensing Board and what it is you guys do.
Well, the licensing board, Bobby, is in place to ensure that contractors that work throughout the state, residentially and commercially, et cetera, are properly licensed and have the proper skill set and the insurances in place to do work for our citizens and our consumers. That's pretty much basically what we do. I think what we're trying to do today is just to give everybody a little bit of information about why that's beneficial to them and how to move forward to ensure that they don't have any problems with their contractors, either during a normal renovation or perhaps during a disaster-related event where they need to rebuild their home.
Wow, yes, and this is such a critical time for all those folks that in Southwest Louisiana after this disaster. But anytime, like you said, you need help rebuilding and to get that contractor. I know after the flood in 2016, that was just so key to rebuilding, and good contractors didn't make it all easy, but it was easier with the right contractor. So
yes,
we're in the peak of hurricane season, and like we all know, Hurricane Laura has taken a toll on our friends and neighbors in Southwest Louisiana, causing such mass and massive destruction. So it's going to be a long recovery, like the governor says, a marathon, not a sprint. Residents will soon begin rebuilding process if some haven't already started. And so we know that the crooks and fraudsters are already doing their dirty work. But for the benefit of our viewers, can you tell us a little what might be the first step a homeowner should do when considering and before hiring that contractor?
Sure. I think that the first thing that I personally would recommend and the board is going to recommend to you is going to be the hardest thing, is to slow down and take some very concentrated looks at what it is that you're wanting to accomplish and who you're wanting to work with. I know that it's a very trying time trying to get your home back together, that you're not living in your home, that you've lost a lot of personal things, a lot of financial wear and tear is going to go on in there as well. But choosing your contractor is going to be very important to determine whether or not you have a successful recovery or whether you have a very painful recovery. So patience is key. And what I mean by that is take some time and get you a couple, 3 or 4 estimates. Make sure you're comfortable with who you're dealing with. Please verify their licensure. Let's verify that they have the proper insurances in place. And read your contract very carefully. Make sure the contract is beneficial to you as well and not just to the contractor.
Right. And in dealing with those contractors or even more specific with a potential fraudster, what might be some of the warning signs that we ought to tell people to be looking for?
Well, Bobby, some of the things that we always try to encourage everybody for is when they do work with the contractor, whether it be a hurricane-related event or a disaster or just a renovation, is again, let's just pay attention. Your home typically is the biggest asset that you have. It's the most expensive thing that you paid for, worked for all your life. So what we ask everybody to do is, we actually have a brochure. It's going to be on our website. I'm going to mention our website several times. There's a lot of great information that can be found there. And I think your staff is trying to post this same brochure I'm going to mention somewhere on your Facebook page and on your website. But there's 10 tips that we give everybody. And I'm just going to run through them real quick from the brochure, and we can talk about them as you think that we should. The first one is, it says plan your project. We want to know what your outcome is. When you talk to your contractor, it's very important that you and the contractor are on the same page to understand what the end result is supposed to be. So often you find that the contractor and the homeowner have different visions of what the finished product should be. And we want to avoid that whenever possible, absolutely. The second one is to ask for several estimates. I'm not going to tell you never take the highest estimate or never take the lowest estimate. You're going to have to look at everything in there. I think this is just like when you're buying insurance or buying a car. You want to make sure that you're paying a price for the product that you're looking for the absolute end result to be what you want it to be. There's not necessarily a good or the bad, but let's not get ourselves caught up in just the hurry aspect of doing this and overlooking the fact that, unfortunately, as emotional as some of these decisions are, this is really business related, and this is going to make a great impact on your life if the wrong decisions are made or if you end up with the wrong guy. Thirdly, and one of the most important things that we feel is that you need to verify their license. Any home improvement project or renovation or disaster recovery project in this state that is valued over $7,500 requires a license of some sort. If you would visit our website or call the office if need be, we can verify whether your contractor is licensed with us or not. There's our information right there. The licensing aspect of contractors for those repairing their homes is going to be very vital to them. The state law requires that a contractor to work on a residential structure must have liability and workman's comp insurance. Our office verifies that before they issue a license to them. An unlicensed contractor may have a lower price, and that's probably because he doesn't have the insurance coverages in place to protect himself and or the homeowner if something were to happen on that project. So we think verifying licensure is extremely, extremely important. Like I said, our website will give you the up-to-the-minute status of a contractor's license. If you'd rather do it by a phone app, we have a phone app for Apples and Androids as well. That's available from our website. If nothing else, call the office and we'll help you out with that. And then we've all said this a whole bunch of times in the past, references are important. And actually just don't take the pictures and say, oh, that looks good. See if you can actually talk to somebody who's had the work done by your potential contractor in the past and see if they're happy with them. See what kind of problems they've had. Let's make some good decisions, because this relationship between a homeowner and a contractor is going to be long-term very important. If you have a big project going on, you are going to deal with your contractor hopefully at least once a day, and make sure that you guys can get along and communicate well. One of the things, Bobby, that we find sometimes is a lot of times on smaller projects, but even occasionally on a larger project, there's no contract. I think that's bad business. I think that's bad business in the benefit of the contractor. The homeowner doesn't have any way to verify or to prove what type of work is supposed to be done or how much things are supposed to cost if there's no contract. It's like signing a bank note and you don't have any idea what the interest rate would be. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to pay. And you've got no way to hold your contractor to the contract if there is none. So that's very, very important, we think. One of the things that we often find in a fraudulent situation or a situation that may not work out so well is a very large down payment. If your contractor is asking you for a large down payment, be very cautious of that. Some of the times a larger down payment may be required depending on your project, but let's think that through. The down payment should be in place to mobilize equipment and staff to your work site. It should be there for a down payment for the contractor to purchase some materials. If your contractor's wanting 30, 40, 50% down, I'd be very concerned that the contractor doesn't have the financial backing to complete your project. So he needs to have all his money up front. Those type of projects often go very, very bad where the project ends up not being finished and the homeowner is actually without the money. One of the things, again, and this should be part of your contract, is you should define how payments are going to be made. Typically, we would call it a draw or a work to such a point that a payment is made. If we have agreed that we're going to pay this contract out in stages, maybe 4 stages, let's define what happens, what the trigger point is that we're going to make our next payment. Let's just not say the contractor wants more money and you give it to him. That's usually a bad sign. Let's have some predetermined things in place. Perhaps upon completing the roof or completing the exterior, he gets X number of dollars. Perhaps upon finishing the drywall and the flooring, he gets X number of dollars. Perhaps once the cabinets are hung and the paint's done and the trim's done, before the project's complete, he gets X number of dollars. And certainly hold a little bit of money out to the very end until you're 100% satisfied that all your little punch list items are complete. Punch list items being, perhaps they missed a spot to paint on a baseboard, or maybe there's a light socket that was supposed to be changed. It didn't. Let's be very clear about when our payments are scheduled and what's supposed to get done before those payments are made. And don't pay ahead. Please don't pay ahead. Stick to your contract. I think that's a lot of leverage that we give up when we change that. The other thing sometimes we find with contractors who are not necessarily very honest or very concerned about their customers, they're very hesitant to let the customer see the project and its work as it progresses. It's your home, it's your business, it's your building, it's your project, you're paying for it. Pay attention to what's going on. Walk through it. If you're dissatisfied or have concerns or questions, please let's speak up and ask about them and get those issues resolved. If you're not happy with the position of a wall or the quality of a finish on some particular product in your house, let's not wait till the end after it's been paid for to address that. Let's address that right now so we don't have to go back and do extra work to get that to where you want it to be. And we mentioned this earlier, and it appears that I got to order. I'm sorry. Don't make your final payment until your job's complete. And that's the part about holding a little bit out until you're satisfied. Make sure that you stay on a level playing field. I'm not asking you to take advantage of your contractor, but let's not let your contractor take advantage of you. It's your money. You're paying for your project, and you want what you want. So let's make sure you get it.
So, Brandon, if I could
sure.
jump in for a minute.
Yeah.
I actually have a copy of that brochure, and I think we're going to put it up.
That's great.
There it is right there. So
there it is.
And those are great tips. And I think what I'm hearing you saying too is that there's a process.
Bobby, I've lost your voice.
With our contractor, we're happier with the job that they did. And it's unfortunate that as homeowners, basically it's our money. And so we got to, keep track of where our money's going. And,
right.
It's unfortunate that as homeowners, we're not trained to be construction monitors, but that's almost what we have to do to make sure that what we're paying for is what we're going to get. And some of those things, as you were walking through the tips or some of the fraud that we might see when we have unscrupulous contractors or people who are purporting to be contractors and they really just kind of after your money. I do have a thing that happened to me after the flood. My contractor, who I happen to know because he had done the project for me just not long before the flood, was happy with the work. I was happy with the way he did it. I was happy with the project and with the money. Well, he lives in a neighborhood. He flooded, including his contractor's license. And so, there were a lot of issues related to, mortgage companies wanted to see a copy of the contractor's license. He didn't have it. He couldn't get in touch with the licensing board because, it's possible. Communication was very difficult. And so he had a difficult time trying to verify that he actually had a license. And so how do you deal with that? The mortgage company is who the mortgage company is. And, they wanted what they wanted, and they made people jump through hoops that maybe were not necessary. So, you got a legitimate contractor. He's got a license. He can't produce the license because of, the reason of a flood or a tornado or the whatever. And so how do you make that happen?
Well, if I'm understanding you correctly, you mortgage companies do require a licensed contractor almost 100% of the time. And let me just share with you, Mr. Bobby, why I think that they do that. They do that so they have some control over where that money goes and some control of the work that's getting done. Again, if a guy just comes in off the street, like you said, and purports to be a contractor and isn't, we don't know who he really is. So I think that's part of the thing that they're doing. And during disasters, it is often challenging to get a hold of a copy of a license if it's been lost or whatsoever, or it's been damaged. I will tell you that the board has closed a few times in the last several years because of natural disasters for a few days. But we are up and running now. and we've got a few things in place. And I mentioned earlier, our website is live. As long as the internet's up, you can verify licensure all day long. If you visit our website, there's a section that says Contractor Search. It's very, very prominent on the first homepage that you're going to come to. And you can search by license name or by license number, the company name, or the individual owner's name. And they'll all populate and tell you that the license is valid or invalid, and what days it came into play, and what that gentleman or company is allowed to perform as far as construction work. So that is something that is very, very easy to verify. Verifying license, again, we think it is so important, and we've done all that we can do to make it easy on the consumer, on the mortgage holder, on everybody to be able to do that just as quickly as possible.
Okay. I was going to ask you about the importance of a written contract, and I think you've already responded.
Yeah.
Contract.
Can I respond again? Because I think it's so important.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. I'd like to respond again. A written contract is the only way that you should do business at all when you're talking about monies of this value. You wouldn't buy a car on a handshake deal. You wouldn't do heart surgery on a handshake deal. You're signing papers to agree to something somewhere, everywhere you go. I think it's really important that we do that with your home. In the contract with your home, I'm going to tell you guys is it's a big deal that you read it. The contractor typically writes the contract, and it will benefit him, as it probably should from his business perspective. But let's make sure that it doesn't penalize you. An unscrupulous contractor is going to have some terms in there that are going to make you wonder if that's normal practice or not. If you don't like it, don't sign it. If you don't like it, absolutely ask him to change it. Do whatever you have to do to make sure that you're comfortable moving forward. I can't stress to you enough the relationship between a homeowner and a contractor, about how that is so important that you guys can communicate and get along. And, while we're on that topic, Bobby, I'm going to skip ahead for just a second if I can. Signing that contract, make sure that you have an out clause. If your project goes bad or your relationship sours, don't have yourself tied to this company or this contractor till the end of time. If you're dissatisfied with the work, make sure you have a way to get out of that contract and go someplace so you can get your house how you want it to be. That again, it's your decision, it's your money, it's your property, it's your project. Take control of it. And I know, Bobby, you mentioned that most homeowners aren't construction managers or project managers, and we understand that. We really, truly do. That's why we think that the contracts are so critically important, so we can get somebody to guide that process through. So at least we have a reference point to go back to see what went wrong, where it went wrong, and how we can help them get it corrected. Yeah,
and on hindsight, from the perspective of someone who's been through one of these disasters, you don't think about the opt-out clause, but opting out is, in some business models is, it's good for both sides. It's good for the contractor.
Could be.
It works for the homeowner as well. And so, I'm reflecting on my contract now, and my contract did not have that opt-out clause. But we're unfortunately a trusting people, and that's why
correct.
Trusters can take advantage of it.
Sure.
Trust that people, in the old days, if you gave somebody your word and you shook their hand, that was a done deal. Not so anymore. And, everybody's looking out for that dollar, especially the fraudsters as much.
Sure.
So let me ask you, if a homeowner is approached by someone that they think might be a fraud or trying to take advantage of them, what might be some of the things that they can do?
Well, I think the most obvious one is, if you're not comfortable with that person or with that company doing business, I would suggest that you don't do business with them. No matter what type of work they're performing, there's 500 other contractors that can do the same thing for you that are licensed and probably very reputable. Your comfort level is going to be very important to begin with. But one of the things that we do suggest, again, is let's identify them and verify them as being properly licensed and properly able to do business here. One thing that we have discovered in the past, as far as specifically the flood and some other hurricane storm related events, is We get contractors that come that are not necessarily from our area, whether they're out of state, out of town, wherever, and we don't know them, and they're not a name that's known to the community. So oftentimes they are very good salesmen. They're very persuasive, and then they're very convincing that they're going to do a great job for you, and some of them will. But if you don't know who they are, let's do what we can to identify them. I don't think it's unreasonable, and I can tell you that Attorney General Landry has made this same suggestion as we have. Let's see if we get a copy of their driver's license or their ID card so we know who they really are, so we know who we're really dealing with. If you can get a copy or a photograph of maybe the vehicle license plate that they drive up in, let's get whatever information they can. Let's see if they have a real home address or if they're working out of a hotel room or a PO box. Those are things that are usually clues that it's a transitory type situation, that it's not a company that's here to stay or that's going to be able to be found. Now, I know that in some kind of way that sounds kind of sort of negative, and I don't mean that to be negative, but I go back again to it's up to us as individual consumers to protect ourselves as much as we possibly can. And if you can identify the guy, girl, company that is doing business with you and your business relationship sours or something bad happens, at least you're going to be able to give law enforcement and us some information as to who that individual really is. I can tell you, and if I can just go off on a little tangent for a second, Bobby, is a lot of times we have found in the past that consumers will enter into an agreement, verbally or written, with a contractor to perform some type of work, but the contractor wants to get paid in cash. We think that that's a clue towards something not being right. You have no record of payment typically, unless, of course, you take a receipt. But even then, who is this guy that you paid? I mean, do we really know that his name is John, or could his name really be Sam? We don't know who that is because we haven't verified that by any form of state ID. It's just what he told you or what's on his business card. We encourage everybody to, obviously identify everybody that you deal with. Make sure that they're licensed, and we'd like you to write checks. Checks are important, but not checks made to cash, because that's the kind of the same thing. Checks made out to whoever you've contracted with. If you contracted with Brad Construction Inc., that's who the check should go to. It shouldn't go to Brad, because that is, again, that's one of the famous things that they're known for, is diverting your money to a place where it doesn't go back to the company. And before you know it, one thing's that's going to happen here is the supplies that were bought for your house, the supplier is going to put a lien on your home because the supplies haven't been paid for. Those are the bad things that can happen. And we just want everybody to pay such close attention to who they're dealing with. Never, ever, ever, ever pay anybody in cash. Let's make checks payable to the person that you've contracted with, and let's verify who indeed that you are contracting with.
So, Brad, they are legitimate contractors that come into Louisiana from out of state.
Yes, sir.
And so, for those, do they have to be licensed in Louisiana as well as, wherever they came from?
Yes, sir. Every contractor who performs work in the state of Louisiana is required to hold a Louisiana license if that project is over $7,500.
And the process for them to an out-of-state contractor to get licensed here, is it, does the Louisiana Licensing Board reciprocate with other states, or is it a cumbersome process for them to go through?
We do reciprocate with a lot of states, not with all. And the process itself is not very challenging. All the information to become licensed is, again, it's available on our website. If you'll fill out the form and email it in, mail it in, bring it in person, we start on that process right away. It should not take a licensed contractor from other state any period of time to speak of to go ahead and get his proper license here. If it's a startup company and then it's someone who's done construction work and decided that they now want to get licensed and move forward and work on their own, that process is very simple as well. It does not take long at all. Typically, the holdup is getting the contractor to slow down and get us all the information that's required. We work every day and turn out licenses every day, and it's just not, it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
And it sounds to me like, reconstruction, it's a process, and you got to go through the verify make certain the people that we're dealing with coming in to rebuild are legitimate and they are who they say they are.
Yes, sir.
So these are really good tips, and we could go on and talk more and more. The brochure that you referenced and that we will have on our website is some great tips and suggestions that homeowners can use and follow to just make sure that they remain vigilant and that these thieves don't take as advantage of them, because in this time of disasters and rebuilding, our people are just so vulnerable. So if someone would want to get in touch with the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors, how can they get in touch with you?
You can visit our website as on your screen there at lslbc.louisiana.gov. You can also find us at lacontractor.org. We're in downtown Baton Rouge at 600 North Street, right off the interstate. You can call us. Our phone number is 225-765-2301. And we're more than happy to talk to you anytime. Bobby, you mentioned our website. I'm going to direct you all back to our website. Again, our website is a treasure trove of information. There's a couple little things on there that could be of great interest to you if you're trying to deal with a reconstruction issue due to a storm or some type of event. There's a section of our website that's called Weathering the Storm that gives you some very detailed, specific information about things to look for specifically towards rebuilding. It does reference the brochure that y'all have posted earlier today. It reiterates the things that we've talked about. That's some great information on there. If you're concerned about whether your contractor has to be licensed or not, the state licensing law for contractors is on our website as well. If you are a contractor and you'd like to become licensed, all that information is on there as well. Anything that you could possibly want to know about the Contractors Board and what we do and how we can help you is on our website. If you can't find it or for whatever reason I have missed it, please let me know and I'll get you that information and we'll update our website and make sure it's there for everybody else to see. We are here to serve you, believe it or not. We really are.
Great. And, I think in hindsight for me and in trying to help those folks in Southwest Louisiana, the best that they can make in rebuilding and getting back to some kind of normalcy is selecting that right contractor.
I think that's going to be a huge step for them, and that relationship is so important.
So in the event that someone encounters a fraudulent contractor or someone who they think might be a fraudulent contractor, I know they can contact you guys. And you mentioned the Louisiana Attorney General's office. Can you think of some other folks that homeowners might contact, regarding fraudulent contractors?
Well, sure. I mean, if you think that you have a contractor that's walking door to door that you've encountered in your neighborhood or in your community that is probably fraudulent, and I would report that to your local law enforcement authorities for sure. FEMA is going to come into play pretty soon, and I'm certain with whatever types of programs they're going to have to help everybody recover and rebuild, I would report that contractor and their actions to the Better Business Bureau. Our Attorney General has a consumer fraud section that is very interested in things such as that as well, and I would report that to them. Certainly report it to all of us. Let all of us take a shot at it, see if we can figure out who he is and get him to stop.
Right. And I think being persistent and having patience and understanding that, this is not going to be repaired and fixed tomorrow will go a long way. And, our prayers too are with those folks in Southwest Louisiana. So we're coming to the end of our conversation, and I would say, ask in closing, do you have any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, I'm going to say two things and be very brief. Verify, verify, verify. Please verify your licensures for those who you're going to do business with. Please verify that you've read your contract very carefully. Verify the insurances. Make them show you their insurances, and let's call it to make sure that those are still active and in place. That's going to protect you. And this is your project. This is your home. This is your money. Let's do that. And I think the other thing that is very important that you just mentioned is it's going to take some time. I don't know how long. I don't think anybody can tell you how long. I know that supplies making it to the southwest portion of the state are already in dire need. There's some materials that they're backed up on already. Patience is required. Patience, if y'all remember, was the first thing that I mentioned. Let's have a little patience and slow down and look at this project of rebuilding your home and look at things very cautiously moving forward. Rushing into the project is going to cause you problems. I promise you it will. Take an extra breath. Let's think things through and let's verify where you want to be with this and make some good decisions. If we can help you in any way, please make sure that you reach out to us.
Thank you, Brad. And on behalf
Sure.
of AARP Louisiana, I want to thank you again for joining us today. You've shared some great information, and it's important. And our friends and neighbors in Southwest Louisiana, need to hear it whenever they can get to that point. So to our viewers, again, be patient, remain vigilant, and if you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. So again, scams and fraudulent contractors, report those to local law enforcement. And if you need help from AARP, you can visit the AARP Fraud Watch Network at www.aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. Or you can call the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 1-877-908-3360. And in this time of hurricanes and COVID-19, stay safe and stay healthy and stay strong, Louisiana. And don't forget to wear your mask, wash your hands often, keep your distance, stay home if you're sick. On behalf of AARP Louisiana and the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors, thank you for joining us. Goodbye, and goodbye until the next time.